I'm in my mid-30s, living in a typical suburban neighborhood somewhere in the Midwest. You know, the kind with white picket fences and kids riding bikes after school. My husband and I met back in college, bonded over late-night study sessions and cheap pizza, and it felt like we were building something solid. He works in tech sales, traveling a lot for conferences and client meetings, while I juggle a part-time job at a local marketing firm and taking care of our two kids, who are both under 10. Life was predictable in that comforting way, mornings rushing to get everyone out the door, evenings with family dinners and Netflix binges. But about a year ago, things started shifting. He'd come home from trips looking exhausted, but not in the usual jet-lagged way. It was like he was carrying some invisible weight. His phone would buzz at odd hours, and he'd step out to take calls, mumbling about work emergencies. I tried not to overthink it at first. Marriage isn't perfect, right? We all have our secrets, little white lies to keep the peace. But then there were the receipts. I'd find them crumpled in his pockets when doing laundry, dinners for two at fancy spots in cities he visited, charges for hotel rooms that seemed excessive for just one person. My mind raced. Was he seeing someone? The thought gnawed at me during quiet moments, like when I'd be folding clothes or stirring pasta sauce. One night, after the kids were asleep, I couldn't hold back. I asked him point blank if everything was okay, and he brushed it off with a laugh, saying work was just stressful. But his eyes didn't meet mine, and that was the crack that let doubt flood in. I began snooping, hating myself for it, but unable to stop. His email was clean, but his browser history showed searches for romantic getaways and jewelry sites. Jewelry? We hadn't exchanged gifts like that in years. My heart sank imagining him buying something sparkly for another woman. I confided in my best friend over coffee one morning, and she suggested I track his phone or hire a PI, but that felt too extreme, like something out of a bad thriller. Instead, I started keeping a journal, noting every late night, every unexplained absence. It built up this narrative in my head: he was cheating, plain and simple. The kids sensed the tension too. Our daughter asked why Daddy seemed sad, and I plastered on a smile, saying everything was fine. But inside, I was unraveling. Then came the big trip, a week-long conference on the West Coast. He packed his suitcase with extra care, including that cologne he only wore for special occasions. I dropped him at the airport, kissed him goodbye, and as he walked away, I felt this mix of anger and sadness. That night, alone with the kids tucked in, I poured a glass of wine and decided to dig deeper. I logged into our shared credit card app and saw a charge for a bouquet of flowers delivered to an address in the city he was in. Flowers? My stomach twisted. Who were they for? I called the florist pretending to be him, but they wouldn't give details. Frustrated, I paced the living room, imagining scenarios, him with a younger colleague, laughing over wine, sharing secrets he no longer shared with me. The betrayal felt so real, even without proof. But here's where it gets weird. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I started fantasizing about my own escape. At work, there was this guy in accounting, divorced, always cracking jokes in the break room. We'd flirt harmlessly, nothing serious, but now those interactions felt charged. Was I projecting my suspicions onto something innocent? Or was this the start of my own downfall? The week dragged on, and when he returned, he seemed happier, more affectionate even. He brought home souvenirs for the kids and a necklace for me, simple, silver, nothing extravagant. But I couldn't shake the flower charge. I waited until we were in bed, lights off, and whispered, "Who were the flowers for?" He paused, then chuckled nervously. "What flowers?" I pressed, showing him the app on my phone. He sighed, rolling over to face me. It was for my boss's assistant. Her mom passed away, and the team chipped in. Relief washed over me, but it was tinged with skepticism. Was that the truth? He pulled me close, apologizing for not mentioning it, and we made love for the first times in months. It felt good, reconnecting, but a seed of doubt lingered. Little did I know that was just the beginning. Over the next few months, the patterns continued, late nights, secretive calls, but now I questioned everything. Was his story a cover? I started therapy, telling the counselor about my paranoia, and she suggested open communication. So I tried, but he'd deflect, saying I was overreacting. Meanwhile, at work, the accounting guy, let's call him the coworker for anonymity, invited me to lunch. It was innocent at first, talking about office gossip and weekend plans. But his attention felt intoxicating after feeling invisible at home. One lunch turned into two, then after, work drinks. I told myself it was nothing, just friendship, but deep down, I knew it was crossing a line. The irony wasn't lost on me, suspecting my husband of cheating while dipping my toe into the same waters. Then came the plot twist I didn't see coming. I was cleaning out his car one weekend, vacuuming the seats when I found a hidden compartment under the passenger floor mat. Inside was a small box with photos, not of another woman, but of a child, a boy about 5 years old, looking eerily like my husband. My world tilted. Who was this kid? The photos were recent, taken at parks and birthday parties. No notes, no explanations. I confronted him that night, shoving the box in his face. He went pale, sitting down heavily on the couch. "It's not what you think," he said, but his voice shook. Turns out, years before we met, he donated sperm anonymously during college for extra cash. Recently, the clinic had a data breach, and this kid's family reached out, wanting to connect. He'd been meeting them secretly, unsure how to tell me, afraid it'd change how I saw him or complicate our family. Relief mixed with anger. Why hide it? We talked for hours, tears flowing, and he promised no more secrets. It felt like a breakthrough, rebuilding trust. But in the aftermath, I felt guilty about my own flirtations. I pulled back from the coworker, focusing on us. Things improved, more date nights, therapy together. Yet, fate had other plans. A few months later, during a routine checkup, my doctor found something, a lump. Tests confirmed breast cancer, early stage but aggressive. Suddenly, life shifted from marital drama to survival mode. My husband was my rock, attending every appointment, holding my hand through chemo. The kids were confused but resilient. In those dark days, I reflected on how close we'd come to breaking. The coworker reached out, offering support, but I kept it platonic. Treatment was grueling, hair loss, nausea, fatigue, but we made it through. Remission came like a gift, and our bond felt stronger. But wait, that's not the end. Post-recovery, I craved normalcy, throwing myself into work. The coworker had moved on, dating someone new, but then there was a new hire in sales, charming, attentive, always lingering at my desk. Flirting started subtly, compliments on my resilience, shared laughs over coffee. My husband was back to traveling, and loneliness crept in. One evening, after a late project, the new hire suggested drinks to celebrate. I went, telling myself it was professional. But alcohol loosened inhibitions, and we ended up kissing in the parking lot. Panic hit immediately. I pulled away, drove home in tears. I confessed to my husband the next day, expecting explosion. Instead, he listened calmly, then admitted he'd had a one-night stand years ago, during a rough patch early in our marriage, before kids. It was a drunken mistake, he said, and he buried it out of shame. We both sat there, stunned by our mutual betrayals. Instead of divorce, we chose forgiveness, attending couples counseling to unpack it all. It's been a roller coaster, but we're still together, more honest now. Life's messy, right? No fairy tales, just real people screwing up and trying to fix it. If you're reading this, know that suspicion can lead down dark paths, but communication might save you. Thanks for letting me vent. Feels lighter already. All right, picking up where I left off because this story has layers, and I need to get it all out. After that big confession session, where we both admitted our infidelities, mine fresh, his ancient, we decided to rebuild. It wasn't easy. Trust doesn't magically return. We'd argue over small things, like why he checked his phone during dinner, or why I stayed late at work. But therapy helped, giving us tools to communicate without accusation. We set boundaries, no more secrets, full phone access if needed, and weekly check-ins. The kids noticed the shift, asking if we were okay, and we'd reassure them with family outings, picnics in the park, movie nights with popcorn fights. Life settled into a new normal, post-cancer, post-betrayals. I threw myself into self-care, yoga classes, reading books on resilience, even starting a blog anonymously about surviving life's curveballs. My husband cut back on travel, taking a more local role, which meant more time at home. It felt good, like we were rediscovering each other. But then, about 6 months later, the past reared its head. Remember that sperm donation kid? The family reached out again, wanting a meeting with all of us. My husband hesitated, but I encouraged it. Better to face it than hide. We met at a neutral spot, a cafe downtown. The boy was adorable, shy but curious, with my husband's dimples. His parents were kind, explaining they just wanted medical history and maybe occasional contact. It was emotional, but positive. We agreed to stay in touch sparingly. That could have been a bonding moment for us, but instead it stirred something in me. Seeing this mini version of my husband made me question our life choices. Were we meant to have more kids? Cancer treatments had left me infertile, a fact we'd buried. Grief hit hard, and I withdrew, spending more time alone. My husband tried to connect, but I pushed away. Enter the unexpected twist. At yoga, I befriended a woman in her 40s, divorced, full of life stories. We'd chat after class, sharing laughs over smoothies. She invited me to a book club, mostly women venting about relationships. It was cathartic, hearing others' tales of heartbreak and recovery. One night, after a particularly raw session, she confessed she'd been in an open marriage before it imploded. The idea intrigued me, freedom within commitment. I brought it up with my husband casually, testing waters. He was horrified, saying monogamy was our foundation. But the seed was planted. Meanwhile, work through another curve. The new hire I'd kissed. He got promoted. Hawkward didn't cover it. I avoided him, but projects forced interaction. He apologized for the kiss, saying it was a mistake, but his eyes said otherwise. Tension built, and during a team building retreat, a weekend at a lakeside cabin, I found myself alone with him by the fire pit. Everyone else was asleep, and we talked deeply about regrets, dreams, the what-ifs. One thing led to another, and we slept together. Guilt crashed over me the next morning. But when I got there, my husband was packing a bag. "What's going on?" I asked. He looked defeated. "I know about the retreat. A colleague texted me. Turns out someone saw us. He wasn't angry, just hurt. We talked all night, deciding on a trial separation. I'd stay in the house with the kids. He'd crash at a friend's. The next weeks were hell explaining to the kids without details, navigating co-parenting schedules. I threw myself into therapy, unpacking why I sabotaged us. Was it revenge for his old affair? Fear of vulnerability post-cancer. The book club friend became a confidant, but then she dropped a bomb. She was bisexual and had feelings for me. What? I'd never considered that. It explained the intensity of our talks. Curiosity piqued. We went on a date, dinner, and a walk. It felt different, exciting, no pressure. We kissed goodbye, and it sparked something new. Was I exploring my sexuality? Mid-30s crisis? Meanwhile, my husband and I met for coffee to discuss logistics. He admitted missing me, wanting to try again, but I was honest about my confusion, mentioning the friend without specifics. He was supportive, surprisingly, saying take time to figure it out. The separation stretched to months. I dated the friend casually, discovering sides of myself I'd ignored. It was liberating, but not sustainable. She wanted more. I wasn't ready. We parted amicably. Then, a health scare. My husband had a minor heart episode from stress. Rushing to the hospital, seeing him vulnerable, flipped a switch. I realized I still loved him deeply. We reconciled slowly, with new rules, openness about attractions, perhaps couples' adventures if mutual. But life laughed at our plans. During reconciliation, I found out I was pregnant, from the retreat fling. Impossible, right? Cancer made me infertile, or so doctors said. Miracle or misdiagnosis? Tests confirmed viability. Panic ensued. I told my husband everything. He was shocked, but, after processing, said we'd raise it together if I wanted. Abortion was an option, but I chose to keep it. The new hire, upon learning, wanted involvement, complicating things. Legal talks followed, paternity tests, custody agreements. It turned our lives upside down. The kids were excited about a sibling but confused by the drama. We navigated it as a team, my husband stepping up as the father figure. Today, with a newborn in the mix, we're stronger but scarred. Infidelity isn't black and white, it's shades of gray driven by unmet needs and human flaws. If you're in a similar spot, seek help early. Don't let secrets fester. Woo, that's part 2. More to come if anyone's still reading. Diving into part 3 because this saga keeps unfolding in ways I never imagined, and sharing it here feels like therapy without the copay. After the pregnancy bombshell, life became a whirlwind of doctor's visits, nursery prep, and awkward conversations. My husband embraced the role, attending ultrasounds and LeMay's classes like it was his own. The new hire, let's call him the bio dad for clarity, insisted on being involved. But we set boundaries, financial support, yes, but primary parenting with us. It was tense, with lawyers drafting agreements to avoid future drama. The kids adapted surprisingly well, treating the baby as a family addition without questioning origins too deeply. I quit my job to focus on health and home, starting freelance work from the couch. Maternity leave blurred into stay, at-home life, and isolation set in. My husband, back to full-time work, tried to help, but exhaustion showed. Intimacy suffered, postpartum body changes, sleep deprivation. I joined online mom groups for support, venting about the chaos. One group led to private chats with a dad in a similar blended family situation. His stories mirrored mine: unexpected pregnancy, navigating co-parenting. Our talks turned personal, sharing vulnerabilities late at night while rocking babies. It felt innocent, emotional support in a lonely time. But lines blurred, flirty emojis, compliments. I justified it as harmless, but deep down knew better. My husband noticed my phone addiction, joking about it at first, then seriously asking who I was talking to. I downplayed it as mom friends, but guilt gnawed. Then, the plot twist. During a routine baby checkup, doctors discovered the infertility diagnosis was wrong. I'd had a rare condition mimicking it, now resolved. It meant we could try for another if wanted, but also highlighted how assumptions derailed us. Energized, my husband suggested a vow renewal, a fresh start. We planned a small ceremony in our backyard, inviting close friends. The bio dad attended awkwardly, but civilly. Vows exchanged, it felt hopeful. But that night, scrolling my phone, I saw a message from the online dad, a photo of him shirtless, captioned, "Thinking of you." Panic. I deleted it, blocked him, vowing to stop. But the seed was there. Why did I seek external validation? Therapy delved into it. Childhood issues, fear of abandonment post-cancer. Progress was slow. Months passed, baby growing, family bonding. Then another curve. My husband got a promotion requiring relocation to the East Coast. We debated, uproot kids. I was hesitant, loving our community. Arguments ensued, resurfacing old resentments. During one fight, he accused me of emotional cheating with the online guy I'd confessed earlier. Hurt, I stormed out, driving aimlessly. Ended up at a bar, nursing a soda, when a stranger struck up conversation. He was visiting from out of town, charming, no strings. We talked for hours, and, in a moment of weakness, I gave him my number. Texts followed, escalating to sexting. I knew it was wrong, but the thrill was addictive after months of routine. My husband found out when a text popped up while I was showering. Confrontation was brutal yelling, tears. He packed a bag again, saying he needed space. This time, separation felt real. I was left with 3 kids, overwhelmed. The bio dad stepped up, helping with pickups and playdates, but his motives seemed mixed, lingering feelings. One evening, after putting kids to bed, he confessed wanting more than co-parenting. I rebuffed him, loyal despite the mess. But loneliness peaked, and I reconnected with the book club friend from before. She was single now, and our old spark reunited. We started seeing each other secretly, exploring that side of me. It was passionate, different from anything with men. Guilt compounded, cheating on my husband with a woman, while separated. Word got back to him through mutual friends. He called, devastated, questioning if I ever loved him. We met for mediation, discussing divorce. Assets, custody, it was clinical, heartbreaking. But during the process, a health crisis hit. Our oldest kid developed asthma, requiring hospital stays. United in worry, we put differences aside. Nights at the bedside, holding hands, reminiscing. It rekindled something. Post-discharge, we tried living together again, cohabitating platonically. Slowly, affection returned. The friend understood, stepping back. The stranger's texts stopped. We rebuilt, incorporating lessons, polyamory discussions, but deciding monogamy with honesty. Twist. Turns out the online dad was a catfish, using stolen photos for scams. Discovering that via reverse image search lifted a weight, my emotional affair was fabricated. Laughter amid tears. Now, settled on the East Coast, life stable. But stories like this don't end neatly. Recently, I found old emails on my husband's laptop from his affair years ago, more than one night, an ongoing thing. Confronted, he admitted it lasted months. Betrayal refreshed. We're in therapy again, deciding if forgiveness has limits. It's raw, real, no happily ever after, just ongoing work. If you've made it this far, thanks. Your stories inspire me to keep going. Here we go with part 4. Because apparently my life is a never-ending soap opera, and dumping it on Reddit is cheaper than more therapy sessions. After uncovering the extent of my husband's past affair, it wasn't a fling but a 6-month relationship with a coworker back when we were newlyweds. I hit rock bottom. Trust shattered anew. I demanded details. Who, why, how it ended. He spilled it all, saying it was during his first job stress, feeling trapped young. She pursued him, and he weak. Ended when she moved away. No contact since. I verified via old messages. Anger boiled. How dare he judge my slips when his was worse? We separated bedrooms, co-parenting silently. Kids sensed it, acting out at school. I leaned on support groups, sharing anonymously. One led to meeting a guy at a coffee meetup for betrayed spouses. He was kind, listened without judgment. Friendship bloomed into attraction. We dated casually, me justifying as separated. It was fun, dinners, hikes, reminding me of single days. My husband knew, hurt but accepting. Then, twist, during a routine audit at his work, they discovered embezzlement. He wasn't involved, but a close colleague was. The same one from his affair years ago. She'd returned to the company under a new name, pulling strings. Investigations revealed she'd blackmailed him back then, threatening to expose unless he continued. He never told me, ashamed. This reframed everything. His affair was coerced. Relief mixed with horror. We talked deeply, forgiving past misunderstandings. The colleague faced charges, closing that chapter. Rekindled, we renewed efforts, couples retreats, date nights. The guy from the group understood, wishing well. Life stabilized, baby thriving, older kids adjusting to new schools. But then, my health faltered, cancer markers up, requiring monitoring. Stress triggered it, doc said. Husband quit job for less demanding one, prioritizing family. Gratitude swelled. Yet, at a neighborhood block party, I met a neighbor's brother, visiting from abroad. Charismatic, worldly, we bonded over travel stories. Numbers exchanged, leading to lunches. It escalated to an affair. Passionate, secretive. Why? Boredom, self-sabotage. Guilt ate me, but I continued for months. Husband suspected, but said nothing. Discovery came via a lost earring in my car. He found it, confronted calmly. I broke down, ending it. He suggested opening the marriage, exploring ethically. Shocked, I agreed to try. We set rules, honesty, protection, no emotions. First experiences were awkward but exciting. He dated a colleague platonically at first, then more. I saw the neighbor's brother occasionally. It worked for a while, liberating, but jealousy crept in. Twist, one of his dates, was the bio dad's sister, small world. Awkward family dinners ensued. We closed the marriage, realizing it wasn't for us. Monogamy renewed with appreciation. Now, years later, Kids older, we're empty, nesters soon. Reflecting, infidelity's taught growth. No villains, just humans. If you're struggling, communicate early. Might save heartache. Word count 8566 part 5. Wrapping this epic with part 5 because every story needs closure, even messy ones like mine. Post open marriage experiment, we doubled down on us. Therapy, hobbies together like cooking classes, volunteering at animal shelters. It built connection beyond physical. Kids grew, oldest in college, middle in high school, youngest elementary. We navigated teen dramas, proud of their resilience. My cancer stayed in remission, a constant reminder to live fully. Husband started a side business, consulting from home, giving flexibility. I returned to full-time work, thriving in marketing. Peace settled, but life threw one last curve. At a work conference, I ran into the coworker from years ago, the accounting guy. He was married now, but sparks flew in conversation. We had dinner, reminiscing. It stayed platonic, but temptation lingered. Back home, I told husband, transparency key. He appreciated it, sharing his own close call with a client. We laughed, stronger for it. Then, the ultimate twist, genealogy test for fun, revealed my husband had another donation child, a daughter, now adult, seeking contact. We met her, integrating carefully. It enriched our family, no drama. Today, we're grandparents. Oldest kid had a baby. Life cycle continues. Infidelity scarred but shaped us, teaching forgiveness, empathy. No regrets. It's our unique path. Thanks for reading my ramblings. Hope it helps someone out there. Stay real, folks.